3, 2, 1. Hey, hi, hello.
What are you up to?
This is the Aloha Broha podcast, and we are brought to you today by Greenleaf Check,
Bang.
a creative group of like-minded individuals who share a common purpose to create unadulterated vehicles of self-expression through various art forms with a focus on oral and visual stimuli. Check us out on greenleafcheck.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast and subscribe to the Aloha Broha podcast as well on iTunes and Stitcher. And
Yeah.
I am one of your hosts, John Cozy, and
I'm another one. I'm qualified. Or Kevin, whichever.
And I'm your third. I'm Ben or Trip. And with us today, we got the one, the only, the King editor, Eddie King, or King Eddie, however you want to go by it. The King. I just call him King because that's what's easy.
Exactly, and that's what we should all go with, whatever's easy. But yeah, King Eddie.
Can you bring up his mic just a little bit more?
I am doing
Cool,
that right
perfect,
now.
yeah.
Number 4.
Yeah, number 4. Or he should be number 3. Kevin's number 4.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Ba-la-la-la-ba-ba.
There we go. How's that?
Sounds good to me.
Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2.
Mic check 1, 2. What is this?
So yeah, Ben, tell us about our guest today.
All right,
Yeah.
well, I met him, oddly enough, through my local comic book store. And this is one of the most interesting dudes I have ever met. First of all, that was my first meeting was through comics, and just be like, oh, there's a new comic book shop right near my house and right near his house. And then as we hung out more, we played board games and whatnot, and talked about comics and shit. And as we hung out more, we slowly figured out that he was one of the silent backers of one of my good comedy friends, Michael C. Hall. And he designed the comedy Comedy Hawaii website, all of this stuff. And he's got his hand in everything. The more and more I talk to him, I find out he's made a comic book. He's in the process of making another one. He got a huge hand in the local MMA scene and making it what it is today. And so I decided that we should have him on because this is I strive to be like a jack of all trades like this guy is.
Yeah, another Renaissance man, if you will.
Yeah.
What's funny is
Hawaii.
that it sounds way better when he says it than when I really sit down and think about what I do. But yeah, I'm just involved in a lot of stuff. I'm not really a architect of things. I just like things. Yeah, that's basically what it is. We have a lot of the same interests, so I guess it's not weird that we would cross paths.
Exactly.
At least in one or many of the intersects.
Dope.
All right. Well,
We're going to have to adjust this camera because we can barely see Eddie.
oh, okay. I thought you couldn't see me.
Yeah, you're cut out completely.
Oh, well, fuck it.
I'm
But
gonna take care of that. So we'll do this for now while I'm working. King, what's the first thing you want to talk about?
I think honestly, 'cause
I know you brought up comic books as a key thing that you really wanted to get information out there on.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I think what I want to talk about is something that pretty much kills the comic industry, and that's that people thinking it's very, very easy.
Yeah.
Right? So everybody thinks to themselves, oh, yeah, I have a really good idea. I'm going to make a comic book.
Yeah.
But that is not at all. I mean, I've been through almost a year of grueling crap just every single day, and I'm still not even through the first hurdle yet. So it's almost I want to let people know what to expect before you get in there. I guess the first thing is even Ben, you have ideas for comic books.
Yeah, I do. I'm actually
pretty much everybody
slowly writing one.
Do you do it all yourself, the art and the writing and stuff, or do you have a team of people that you work with?
It is definitely a team effort.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay.
First off, I suck at everything in life. I can't draw. I can't even write very well, to be honest with you, which is what's fun about comics because then you get to bring the artist in and they get to put their spin on it. But it's kind of it's a really interesting little thing.
So what was the first stumbling block that you came across while trying to make a comic?
Well, the first one I made, I honestly made it and published it myself, just to kind of check it out and see what it was like to do it. I've always just kind of wondered, because you sit and you think oh yeah, there's this publisher and there's this person and there's this, but if you want to get into the industry, don't you kind of got to know what they're going through?
Right.
So I had to deal with sponsors, and I had to deal with printers, and then, you know, shipping costs, and how much am I going to sell it for, and where am I going to sell this thing, and you know.
And how the fuck do you even get a hold of those people? Like, I had no fucking clue that like there's like a whole thing about printers.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. It really is. But I will say that it was like the best pain in my ass ever, because once I finished doing that, I was under no illusion that I was going to be like this self-made, I print my own shit. Nobody cared. Like, nobody cared at all. But it was a process that like made me smarter. It made me realize, oh, okay, there's more to this than just having a good idea. And then from there, it's just, you know, you go to the Image website. Image is my favorite comic book publisher because it's creator owned. You know, you don't have to do page rates.
By that he means that like they actually own, like, if you create a comic book title or a character or whatever, like, you actually maintain the rights to that thing. You don't have to like if you go to DC, like, I have this idea for a superhero, they have to approve it, and then if they do approve it, they now own the rights to that, and you get to write on it for a little while, maybe.
They're like an indie label.
Yeah,
like
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
comparison. That's what Image is. It's creator owned, creator published.
Well, there's a lot of freedom there. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of times people try to make things for shock value. You don't get away with that with a creator-owned project. You are held up to a certain standard. And I'm just a crazy son of a bitch, so I thought to myself, like, what would cause me the most mental anguish? This. So I went with that. And, you know, I had a bunch of stories, like, preloaded and written and everything like that. And then I would say my first little venture into it, as far as finding an artist, I found out that just handing over like a pre-formatted script that you wrote 6 months ago is not at all how it works. You can't do that if you really want to have a collaborative effort. So
yeah, that's like some of the tips he was giving me when I told him that I was writing mine. Like, I was like, oh, I think I got like a page worth of panels down. And he's like, okay, cool, let me see. And like, he saw it and he goes, yeah, you're like, each of these panels needs to be one page.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck.
Well, I mean, it just depends on like how much clout you have or what artist you're working with. I mean, I've literally seen scripts where it's like, there's a chick in a tree. Do whatever you want to do with that. Like, I wouldn't be able to get away with that. I do that and somebody's gonna be like, you gotta be kidding me, man. I'm gonna go ahead and triple the rate. You know. But honestly, the way that I actually got into it was I just kept telling myself every day, man, I really want to do this. And you look around and like, I mean, I'm almost 30. And then you don't realize that that's old until you see there are people that are 20 years old that are like, man, you know, I always just wanted to play basketball. That's what I do. And now they're like millionaires.
Yeah.
So I was like, screw it, I'm going to do it. So I went to the Image website and looked at the submission process. And then because it's an indie label, I looked at some of the new titles that were coming out and some of the people that were putting them out, and I just contacted them blindly, but not douchey. I want to emphasize, don't be a douchebag.
There you go.
Because there's like 5 billion people that are going, oh, hey, you're popular now. I have this great story. Yeah, it's really cool. How about you pass it along to somebody? They don't like that.
Yeah.
No.
But if you try to strike up a real conversation and see what somebody's, it's kind of like a music producer, or it's kind of like even an artist or anybody in a professional field. If you just come at them like you know what's up and then you start asking them to do shit for you, it's not going to work out. They're not going to view you the right way.
Especially if they don't know you. Like if you have a little bit of clout behind you and you've done a couple things and like your name might be recognized, you might be able to get away with that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But like realistically, like, I mean, like, you guys could probably go up to someone in the local hip hop scene and be like, hey, I'd like to do a collaboration with you guys, and be like, oh yeah, we've heard of you, let's do this. But like, when you first started out, you weren't gonna go up to like Christian Mochi and be like, hey, let's fucking make a song together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of get the same attention now. Like making beats, like a lot of rappers like come up to me and be like, yo, man,
Get your beats.
give me a beat or let me rap on this. And I'm like, yo, I don't know you, dog. Like, like I work hella hard. Like I work hella hard on like pieces of music and shit. And like, I'm not just gonna like toss it to some dude I don't know. So yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Now the same stuff be happening to me. You know, cats be like, hey, man, let's rap, or hey, man, come perform at this show. And I'm just like, well, wait, man. Like,
Yeah, it's more than
who
you're
are
just
you?
doing it. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, come attach your artistic integrity to me and things that you have
Yeah,
no clue
it's
I'm
just
going to
like,
say or do.
Well,
Like,
wait a minute.
yeah, it's not very easy. But I guess a
Yeah.
lot of people coming into things, you know, they just have the haze in their head. They don't know.
Yeah.
And then once they find out it's hard, they run away. And I love that. That's great.
Oh yeah, just seeing people
love
flee.
quitters. I love quitters because they make my life much easier. Because I'm not great, but I'm persistent.
There you
Like
go.
that's all that matters.
Less competition.
Yeah.
But no, you were saying like, you know, good ideas are not enough, and I understand that. But what's your idea though? Or can you talk about that?
I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Obviously, because we're in the process, I don't want to give too much away and have somebody.
No spoilers.
Right, I got
somebody
you,
beat me to the punch, like somebody just watching this right now, like, oh shit, all right, well, and then they just put it in. But you know, it basically came when this guy. There's a book out now called Spread. It's like a dystopian horror type book. It's really freaking good. It's written by a guy named Justin Jordan, and he just kind of burst onto the scene hardcore. He's one of the few writers that like got his book picked up by Image just cold, just straight, like they just picked it up and said, "Damn,
It was that dope.
yeah." And so when he does this, he works with an artist named Kyle Strahm, and Kyle was just a really nice guy to me when I was reaching out of nowhere. And he didn't just like sell me the farm or anything, but he just pointed me in the right direction. That, hey, pay attention to this. Hey, pay attention to that. You know, maybe value your artist a little more. And I noticed one of our mutual friends named John Bivens, who is an artist for a book called Dark Engine. He was a really approachable guy too. I asked him, hey man, how do you get in there when it's cold like that? And he basically told me 3 things. And I literally keep it on my phone and I look at it every single day of my life. And it says to, one second. It says to keep it short anytime you're going to make a pitch, and find a well-established champion of the industry. Like, try to work with somebody that's already in there. You know, however you can get in there, just get in there and do that. It
Seek
never
out the
hurts.
master kind of thing.
Or the best you can get somebody that's in it. Because you know what? Wherever you're lacking, they're either going to tell you or they're going to pick up the slack.
Right.
And so it's good. And the other thing is to just make something about your pitch different. You know, so I elected early on that my story in its beginning seems a lot like every other story. And what makes it cool is that it changes and you don't expect it. So I can't really in a 6-page pitch blow the doors wide open. So I just decided that my spiel, my little thing would be work with ballers. Like work with people that are hardcore in it, because if I can walk into the scene and make a pitch with some top level guys, then you know I'm going to learn so much even if it fails.
Yeah.
So exactly. Like even if it goes absolutely nowhere, you're now like, oh, okay, well,
I'm
that's an
not as
experience.
stupid as I was before. I'm not going to say that I'm smarter. I'm not as naive as I was before. So, you know, Kyle sets me up really good with telling me the truth. You know, that's pretty much the main thing. And the first thing out of his head was, you know, have you done anything before? Yeah, I've made my own comics. I've done this kind of stuff. Well, how much did you pay the artist? Well, I didn't use an artist for my first comic book. I used a little bit of design work on some photos that I'd taken just to get it printed. And so that world was different. When he told me the price that would be reasonable for a pro, it knocked me back, man.
Yeah.
I got 2 kids. I'm broke just like everybody else in Hawaii. Like, how am I going to do this? You know, I work for myself. What are you going to do? But, you know, you got to invest in yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a musician, you got to buy instruments and you got to spend time in practice and you got to do all that. You got to get better.
Yeah.
So you invest in yourself.
You gotta take the hits, man. Like I've been there with just all of this stuff too, and like the stuff I like make music with too and record. But without like taking that hit, I couldn't have made like all the different projects that like me and my team been working on. So it's like, you know, you owe it to yourself to like
you gotta invest in yourself, man.
Invest in your craft.
Yeah. Well, you got to believe in yourself. And that's basically all it is. Everybody says, I believe in me, but it's like, hey, drop $2,000. Oh, shit.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, I think I'm cool in everything. But that's pretty much it. That's step number 1. Invest in yourself, really. That's where you jump off and you're doing something different than everybody else. So that was what I did. And, you know, I reached out to a bunch of artists, and Kyle helped with that a lot too, which is crazy because he doesn't know me. But he did. And I lucked up and I started corresponding with a guy named Nelson Blake, NB2, Nelson Blake II. He's worked on all kinds of stuff. I mean, he's literally, like, when you look him up, he's like friends with everybody. He's what I call him the artist. You know, everybody respects him, everybody likes him. And he's worked on cool stuff. G.I. Joe.
Oh, word.
And I have the I have a G.I. Joe tattoo. Wow. So it's like, you know, that was a real big honor. And then having him drop his knowledge. I mean, you know, artists are amazing people. Yeah. So that was where it started. Once I got an artist, it was like, oh crap, I gotta write a script, you know, and
Ooh, the
then
door's open.
it feels like it.
It's like you got to put in work now. You got like other people, you know, putting in their time and shit.
Nah, so I see you just showed off the G.I. Joe tattoo. Like, what other stuff were you into, or like what kind of got you into like comics just to start you off?
Well, when I was a little kid, it was like no uncommon thing to just have random comic books laying around.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, kid from the old South, man. Like,
Yeah.
we had like one traffic light between two towns. we like all collaborated in a high school. Like, so you would just find stuff laying around. Everybody keeps a bunch of stuff. There's always boxes everywhere you go. I went to like my grandma's house to hang out with my cousin, and there was comic books all over the place. But when I really, really got into it was when I went to the swap meet one day. We call it the Jockey Lot. It is the most redneck place in the world.
Oh wow.
I walked to this table and I just see the cover of this book. I didn't give a crap that it was a comic book. I just looked at it and thought it was cool. Picked it up. It ended up being an issue of Spawn, which is a book that I never ended up
Todd
following.
McFarlane.
Yeah, I never ended up following the actual book. I just picked up that copy, but I just looked at it and was like, damn, you know, this is crazy. And kind of coming full circle, the guy that, you know, created that book is the guy that created Image Comics. And so, you know, 20 years later, you see that as kind of a thing. But I picked up Spawn, I picked up a couple other things, and there it was. You know, it's just like, wow, you can say that, you can draw that, like that's the shit, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I had a friend that I grew up with. He was like the only other kid in my neighborhood. He was obsessed with comic books, and I didn't even know it. You know, and he was an artist, and he drew all the time, and that was something that we always just kind of talked about doing. Once we figured out that we were both into it, I would sit there and talk about crazy stuff, and he would sketch things out and talk about crazy stuff, and you know, it just became the dream. Probably from like 12 on, that was it.
Yeah. That's what's up.
That's tight, man. Like I was kind of into comics like when I was around 12 years old, but then I kind of fell off, and then like just a few years ago I got like heavy back into it, like with all the, you know, like all the Marvel movies coming out now, and like Batman becoming like a big thing again. So I got like hella deep into like the Batman comics and shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, and I didn't realize they had like stories like that. It was really like mature. You know?
Yeah.
Like you think of like like the mainstream public will think of like comic books like some kid thing.
Yeah.
Like Batman 66. Like how, yeah, like
Illustrated Adam West, like you're reading, like
how,
hello,
like how Adam
penguin.
West was. Yeah, that's what a lot of people think comics was. And like I'll admit too, like I wasn't really into comics as a kid. I wasn't huge in it. What really got me into it was back in like 2010, a friend of mine gave me a copy of DC's Identity Crisis, and that was like a New York Times bestseller, and it was one of the first like graphic novels to get a bestseller listing as a graphic. I mean, Alan Moore got several of them too, but like this was the first like independent title kind of thing. Like this was a DC regular title, a Justice League title basically, that got a bestseller listing. And so I was like, oh, let's look through this. And you started off, like the first like 10 pages, you're just drawn in. Like I don't want to ruin it because that first 10 pages just sucks you into DC's world. And that's mainly the biggest reason why like I'm more of a DC guy now than I am a Marvel guy, because there's been a few titles by Marvel that have sucked me in like that, but I like every other thing that I pick up from DC, at least for me personally, has sucked me in the way that Identity Crisis has. And like you just see like this incredible story fold out with death and betrayal and secrets and trying to figure out what the hell's going on and shit. And it's so amazing. It's so intense. Batman has been really dark for a long time, and they've tried to like lighten him up, but it never quite works the same. And so they kind of keep him in this dark area. But then you get like the polar opposites with like Superman, which really isn't very like, when he's done good, in my opinion, it's not a very dark comic. It's a very kind of bright and spirited comic. And actually, I want to get your opinion on this. This is something that someone said to me, because you and me have always had our little conversations about what Marvel does wrong, what it does right, what DC does wrong, what it does right, and whatnot. Yep. And like I've always said, like DC does stories better than Marvel does, and characters, and Marvel does characters better. But someone put it in a much more unique fashion. I saw this on Reddit the other day, and I thought this was beautiful. And he said that Marvel is about people trying to be heroes, and DC is about heroes trying to be people.
That would be
That's-
absolutely
yeah.
correct. It kind of
It's-
washes over you immediately as soon as you hear it.
As soon as you hear it, you're like, wow, that is
makes
exactly how it feels.
That's word.
You know, like, I guess one of the weird things that I didn't realize about trying to get into comics is how much you're actually going to read.
Oh, yeah.
And how little it's actually going to be comics that you're reading. You know, one of the books that I read is probably the greatest book ever, and it's called Right or Wrong. It's by a guy named Dirk Manning, and you know he's had some successful titles. He's even had stuff turned into movies and things like that. But he just says crap like we would say it right here sitting at this table. And in the book it says that you know places like Marvel or DC, it's very character centric. It's very plot centric, right? If you really want to make a good book, you got to have it theme centric, like. That way, it's not just the same good guy beating up the same bad guy with a different combination and coming out victorious. You know, you come out with an actual theme and base the character and the plot around that.
You see the whole arc going through and whatnot.
Right, and it does it a little differently. I see where DC does things. DC does things. They're very plot centric. They like to tell that story hard.
Right.
They like you to feel it. Marvel's a little bit more about, hey, love this guy. First, love him. And then we're gonna tell you about him.
Yeah.
DC makes you love them as
As the story
you
kinda
hear
goes
about it.
through, yeah.
Image is totally different because there are books with Image that I hate. I
Yeah.
absolutely hate them. Not because they're not good books, but because it's like, dear God,
What are you doing?
Where do you come up with this, and how do you? I mean, where does
So
it come
wait,
out
are
from?
you talking like it's a love hate? Like you're like I wish I thought of that, or is it like a no?
Well, it goes both ways. Like sometimes it'll be something that I respect later on, and sometimes I'll look at it and I'll just hate it because it's better.
Yeah,
You know,
No,
because it's
I
on
have that
another,
all the time.
because it surprised me. Because as a comic fan, we are a very specific type of people.
Right.
We like to argue with people who like the same things we like, which is just stupid. It's like, no, you can't like it. I like it. I like it more than you. Like, and if somebody differs from you, then you're like, oh, you suck because you don't like this, and this is what I believe in.
Yeah, I've been trying to step away from that a lot. Like I've noticed that like for a long time because I talk so much about DC. Like I end up getting into arguments about DC being better than Marvel, and the more and more I look at it, more I'm like I really don't think Marvel is all that much better than DC. Like I said, there's stuff that I like there, but I would find myself in like arguments against it for no reason whatsoever. Like I have no reason to really hate Marvel whatsoever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man, same thing happens with rappers and rap and whatnot. You argue about who's better or who's like, nah, man, this dude whack. He ain't even did this. And then like you think about it, and it's like, well, I mean, like I like some of his stuff, but I just like this guy better.
And then you have the people that are like, I strictly like underground. If you
yeah.
if you know who they are, then I don't like them anymore.
Yeah.
Like that actually happens in comics a lot too. That's why I love both worlds. It just parallels so much. You can see it's the same people with different faces. Man. That's all it is. But I don't know, man. Image just does something weird for me. I remember picking up The Walking Dead for the first time when I was in high school.
Right.
And or actually I might have been graduating high school that year. I just picked it up, and I think they maybe ordered like 5 copies in my local shop. And I mean, I hate to sound like the guy that's like, I was there before it was popular, but I was. I really was. And I can recall I was standing there one time, and it was the only time that I was about 100 pounds at this point in time. Okay, it was the only time that I almost willingly got my ass stomped in public, because like I was waiting to grab my copy, and this just guy who has nothing to do with Image goes over and picks it up. You can tell he's like a Spider-Man guy or something. He picks it up and he looks at it and he's like, it's not even in color. I was like, what an idiot. I just wanted to slap him in the face. But then I realized, hey man, whatever, you like what you want to like. You know, I picked my book up, and once The Walking Dead got popular because of the TV show, a lot of people that I remember talking about the book with back in the day were like, yeah, I'm not even on that anymore. Well, those people are stupid, because the book is still extremely good and the show is really good, and it's like having 2 of the same thing that you love.
Because they're very different from each other too, as the series went on, and that was one thing. Like I didn't hear about the comic until after the series had come out, because like the first season of the series came out in 2010. And I remember watching it on TV and being like, holy crap. And then someone was like, that's a comic book, right? And I was like, really?
Have you went and read the comics?
I do. I have now. I'm not caught up. I because I started it when I bought the first omnibus that came out, the big fat book of Walking Dead. I was like, I got done with that, and like right when I got done with that, like the second one was coming out. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna pick up the second one. And now since I have 2 of the omnibuses, I don't want to start buying the singles because that's gonna get expensive as shit.
Yeah,
and so
just a little bit.
So I'm just like, well, now I'm waiting for the third omnibus to come out so I can continue where I left off. So I'm on like. I want to say I'm on like number 75 or something like that.
That's a good place to be. Well, the good thing about reading them like that is that with that book in particular, it's literally nonstop. Every freaking page is, even when there's talking heads, which is like just a bunch of people talking, no action. It's literally like pictures of people going, like even that is captivating in that book. There's so many more characters.
Did so amazing with it. It was absolutely incredible.
Well, that dude became my favorite writer for the most amazing reason ever. And when I tell people why he's my favorite writer, I think they kind of like laugh and think I'm full of crap. But
okay, get ready to laugh at him.
I just want to beat him. That's it. I just want to beat him. Like, I love everything that he does, and everybody's like, "Good God, man, you're a fanboy." And it's like, no, I want to scare the living crap out of this guy. One day, and I know it's going to be a long way down the road, but one day I want Robert Kirkman to see me coming and go, "Damn, this kid's after it." Like, why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, have him looking over his shoulder, worried about his job.
Plus, what's crazy is that he's like one of the most powerful people in comics right now. I mean, everybody knows his name
in media in general.
Yeah, it's what's funny about it. This is the one of the best topics too. Is if you're gonna start a comic book, consult your freaking girlfriend first. Like, because it costs a lot of money and it costs a lot of time, and then you end up like thinking and talking as these other people, like, "Hey babe, so basically if you were like slapped with by a space alien," and you become very weird when you're so
I can see that.
Yep. But you get into this whole situation, your family changes, your everything changes, and I look at stuff like his first failures, Kirkman's first failures, and what he must have been going through when that was happening. And the big crazy thing about it is, one of the first books that Kirkman ever pitched was just shot down blatantly. They were just like, "Dear God, no." Right? I have that book.
What is it?
It's Science Dog.
Oh, I fucking knew it. I was like,
I have
that just
book.
got released again, right?
They
like,
are starting it again, and I crap my pants. Like, I was like, "Oh my God." It's a dog, and his name is Science, and he is a superhero with a wheelchaired partner, and it is amazingly bad sometimes. But it's good. The story's really good. It's
like so bad that it's good kind of thing.
Well, it's like, you can tell that he was just starting off. But then if you look at his work afterwards, you can see everything that was good about Science Dog.
It's like this happened to me with Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon is one of my favorite writers. He wrote Avengers. He wrote the Firefly series and all that stuff.
Yeah, he did.
Buffy.
And Buffy. I've never watched Buffy, and then and then I became a huge Joss Whedon fan through Firefly and his run on Astonishing X-Men and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I should probably go back and watch Buffy. Everyone raves about Buffy. And then like knowing how he writes now, and then going back and watching the first season of Buffy, you're like, wow, you can just like see, like as the seasons go on and even as that first season happens, you can see Joss Whedon like evolve as a writer. Like, it's really kind of crazy how just watching this, like his character change and his ability to write and create a show or create a piece of media changes over the period. It's so cool.
It really is. What's weird is that you can just see people.
Buffy on Netflix.
Yeah, everything's on Netflix. That's how I did it. I was like, you know what? It's on Netflix right now. It was sitting in my queue forever too, and I was finally like, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and watch this.
When you're able to see somebody evolve like that, though, like even the original idea wasn't bad. It was just not packaged the right way. Maybe all these are lessons that we have to learn.
And the thing too is, it inspired me at least. Like I know I got to a point where I was like, okay, I see how bad he was. Well, not bad, but I mean, like, see how like he had to like grow to be this thing that he became. And then you're like, you know what? I could write something like the first episode of Buffy. Like, that was not that great of an episode. I could totally do that. And then it inspires you to go out and create your own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It you look at things that everybody screws up in at first. Like even with music or with like a different type of art or even with like fighting, any sport, something like that. You look at the people, not the ones that were just instant superstars.
Yeah.
And like had a good run and left, but you look at the ones that like started out and they were like, who? and then now they've been in it for 20 years and they're like powerhouses. What did they do? That's what I want to be, you know. So I looked at Kirkman. I really did a lot. And Science Dog, I look at that book every morning when I wake up. Like,
you got it framed.
No, I don't have it framed.
Framed on your ceiling.
I have like these different steps. So, you know, you check your phone when you wake up. I check my phone. I look at some things in there. Like I go over to my bookshelf and I'm going to grab a book, and there it is. I'll just look at it and I say, okay, all right, nobody wanted this.
Yeah.
Now look what happened.
Yeah.
So
they brought it back.
Not only did they bring it back, the dude is actually a partner in Image. I mean, like, and he runs his own imprint, Skybound. So anything great that you see with a Skybound imprint on it, like Manifest Destiny, The Walking Dead, Invincible, you know, all of these things, they are, you know, under his wing. He has a part in all these great books, and it's like he doesn't even on the creative team. You know, he just gets to be a part of all these great projects, and that's kind of, I think that's what I want. I don't just want to.
Yeah, he really used his influence to like expand his influence even more. Like this little tiny bit of his success. Like now he's an executive producer on the show, and like people are coming to him. Like I've heard rumors now that like people are coming to him to like try and get stuff made on TV and things like that because he has that kind of pull and influence just from this little thing that exploded.
Oh, he was slick, man. He like tricked publishers into missing their taxi, and he would have to drive them to the airport. And I mean, he would like set up
set up his pitch and whatnot.
He would like set up interviews, like I'm gonna interview you for this thing, and then he'd be like, hey, yeah. So by the way, I was thinking, I got this thing. You know, and he was just persistent, right? At the end of the day, he was persistent, and he was a good writer, you know. And for me, I sit around and look at it, and I think now, okay, what are the things that matter? Being a good writer. That is the part where I failed on my first try, like, and second and third, and now you fail every time. But that's not what matters. You know what I mean? You look towards the future, and you like listen to what everybody says. So yeah, I don't know, man. It just got really crazy. Image expanded everything. Yeah. And with the expansion of Image, it felt more feasible for me. It felt like, okay, cool, I don't have to sell my soul. Like, I don't have to give away what I like. I don't have to be under somebody's umbrella. I could literally create an entire universe in a book, and then on the last book, I could just freaking kill everybody. I could turn them all into rabbits, whatever I want to do. That's
5-book run, and everything's dead.
And everything's dead. I'm going to do one 5-book run.
And now, too, you don't have to worry about, like, a Bob Kane just taking everything you own.
Yeah.
It's like him and, like, Stan Lee. Like, everyone loves Stan Lee. I don't know why. He seems kind of like a dick to me. And he, like, more than half of the things that are credited to him creating, like, they weren't his creations at all.
A lot of the X-Men were actually created by a guy that lived in my freaking hometown.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know he lived. I didn't even know that was him until he died.
Like how the whole Batman Bill Finger thing, right? That one? Yeah.
Like, Bob Kane he had a part in creating Batman, but he didn't create Batman. And like I said, he had a part in it, but because he retained the rights to it, and he also basically fronted what became DC Comics.
Yeah.
And for a long time, him through DC owned everything that DC had, and they sucked up a bunch of other smaller comic book companies. And the thing, like part of the thing that's founded Image was creators wanted to create and maintain their creations. They wanted to actually hold the rights to the things that they created, and so like that's why Image is creator owned and creator controlled.
Well, when you look at that, you just see a bunch of different ideas. It's not a lot of the same stuff. A lot of different ideas. I mean, every hit that they have is completely different from the one that came before. I mean,
like DC would never have published Walking Dead. Maybe under Vertigo, which is another DC-owned property. That's their independent publisher. That's where they publish like The Watchmen and V for Vendetta and stuff like that. A lot of Alan Moore came out under their League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. All these fantastic, amazing books. But they were, for the longest time, they're all put under Vertigo, which had this loose affiliation with DC. And unless you really knew the industry, you didn't realize, like, oh, that's actually DC publishing all this stuff. Oh, this is Vertigo. They do independent. They did a lot of really cool, incredible books. They're still putting out a lot of great, incredible books, but it's still DC controlling everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. That's what's crazy about that is like I can still see the DC influence in Vertigo, but it still feels completely different to me.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah, so I don't think about it like that.
One of my favorite books is The Losers, which they made into a movie, which you could tell was supposed to be a multiple part movie, but it flopped so hard that they didn't sign on to do the rest of the movies.
Yeah.
But like it's a great book. If you get the chance, go buy it and look at it and read it. It's called The Losers. Absolutely fantastic. The artist and Diggle's the artist, and Jacques is the writer. Oh fuck! I'm completely blanking on the names, but just amazing art, and doesn't particularly feel like DC until you sit there and like really kind of pick it apart, and then you're like, oh, this does kind of feel like a DC story, but it's a Vertigo published thing, and it feels independent. It's really cool and amazing.
Yeah, well, I guess the thing that's a little bit cooler with like Image or IDW, Dark Horse, Dynamite, places like that, you don't really have to fit under like a certain umbrella. You don't have to even like cater to people that are, like there's DC heavy people and there's Marvel heavy people. You don't have to cater to anybody.
Right.
You just do whatever you want to do, and either it's going to succeed or it's not.
Yeah.
You can try again with something else, and every time you do it, you're building like connections. And a lot of these guys are winning Eisners, man, which is like the highest award in that industry, right? So
I'm surprised Kubert doesn't have an award under his name yet.
You know what's crazy is that Matt
got a school.
Fraction, huh?
Kubert has a school now, the Kubert School of Comic Book Drawing or whatever.
I don't know.
He's got he's a famous artist, and he's like I said, Eisner has an award named after him. I'm surprised Kubert doesn't have an award named after him for art.
There may be. I don't know. Like that's the weird thing about my comic book nerddom is in order to focus more on getting things done, I rejected knowledge that I used to have, like issue numbers.
Oh yeah.
God, I hate comic book fans that have issues. Right? They're like, oh, in issue 75, he was using his left hand to grip the act. Jeez, come on, man! You're not enjoying the book at this point.
Yeah, no, I've just started referring to arcs myself.
Yeah, so I'm just like, there was that one that I liked, and if nobody knows what I'm talking about, then it's like, I still enjoyed it.
It's not that big deal.
It's all good. But there's different things. I guess with Image, you get to see a lot of stuff like collaborative work, like where an artist and a writer really put in time together.
And they came together because they wanted to, not because a publisher put them together.
Or because the writer was paying the exact price that artist really needed at that exact moment.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot. I'm joking though, because I just had an artist turn me down the other day for what I thought was my greatest idea ever, and his style was the greatest style, and it was going to be perfect. And I can't see that book without his art, right? And we talk back and forth, and then he goes, "I'm just not willing to commit to something for that long. It's a great story. It sounds awesome. I wish I could do it. Maybe we can toss it around for a while, but I can't commit to it now." And I'm sitting here going like, okay, this is how I count my money. I can't take a chance paying a guy for, you know what I mean? But at the same time, he's worth it, so I'm probably going to. But in my early stages, no, there's no way I could have done that. You have to really have a commitment. So, when I found a guy that wanted to commit, that was pretty nuts. Like that was pretty nuts, and I thought, oh, I got to do all this and I got to do all that and da 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 da, and I just didn't even think of the guy at all.
Right.
And that was noob mistake number one, rookie mistake number one. Value your freaking artist, man. Like, don't say, hey, let's do this. You do it for free, and then once it catches on, man, we'll split it 50-50. Okay. Your chances of it catching on are not even worth you uttering those words to that established artist guy.
Right.
He could literally just pick up a crap project and make as much bucks as you're promising him. So, like, you got to value the artist. You got to value their time. Any successful artist is going to have, like, they're going to have a bunch of titles that they're working on. So there's only so much time in a day, so they can't be working on 10 books.
Those are like the guys who try to get studio time and
well, guys that try to get beats, man. I think about it that way. It's like I was saying, like people think I just like pull beats out of my ass or something, and they always expect like since I'm not, I guess I don't have that clout where they don't expect me to like charge them. But I think you got to know what you're worth, right? Yeah, man. Like if you put in time into stuff, you gotta make it work out for you. I guess I don't know. That's why I rarely because I make beats too besides rapping. And I get hit up for beats all the time, and I'm always like reluctant to just respond to people because You know, if
Everybody
I'm gonna
wants
give them
the
a
homie
price, they're gonna
hookup.
be like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Everybody became your best friend.
yeah.
Like, hey, or we're gonna be best friends. I'm
Let's-
gonna make you successful. Like you have no leg to stand on, and you're like, if you don't think that I can make myself successful, why are you coming to me? You know what I mean? Like I bet that's how it feels. And like for me, I can't draw, so I absolutely love what they do.
Yeah.
And you know, I like that when I gave what I gave to that guy, instead of being like, all right, here's why you suck. Like he didn't do that. He was like, okay, all right, we can work with this. You know, his name's Nelson, and he's just such a veteran. I mean, he's so cool and calm, and he's like, yeah, you know, your pacing is a little off here. Like from this page to this page, it's like, nah, I don't know about this, man. So-
Comes back with notes and shit,
Yeah,
like
he-
helpful.
well,
actual
he'll send me like a
Constructive criticisms.
yeah. Well, he'll send me like a thing and like a sketch layout, right? Like a easy draw, not easy drawing, but like a sketched out layout page, and say this is kind of what we want to go for, what it looks like. I changed a couple things. You tell me what you think, and then you look at it and you go, "Damn, that's what I wanted to do." But I'm trying to cram all this crap into like a 6-page pitch, and that's new mistake number 2. Trying to give away the whole run in 6 freaking pages. Just show them how your story works. Don't write differently for the pitch and then change it up and space it out for the rest of your book. You're putting forth a false thing. Like,
Right.
It's not really what it is.
They're not going to get a feel for what everything is going to be like.
Yep, and that was new mistake number 2 that I made. I tried to cram all kinds of crap into the first 6 pages. It was actually 5 pages, and then of course I extended it to 6 pages so that I could put more crap in there. And he's just like, "No, man, I think maybe we should kind of pace this out a little bit." And then instead of feeling like a dumbass, you know, I kind of just took it for what it was worth and said, "All right, noted." Made a little note on the chalkboard, man. And that's what you got to do. Most people are going to be like, "You know what the hell you're talking about?" And then those guys are idiots. Pack it up. Go home. I mean, you're just setting yourself up. If you can't be humble for 10 seconds.
Right.
When the guy who's been doing it for 15 years is just lightly telling you, "Hey, man, maybe let's do this." I mean, they
Always got to be willing to learn, especially when somebody knows what they talking about.
Yeah, and I feel like, well, to compare this to like the Hawaii hip hop scene, I wish more people would be more like critically constructive.
Oh yeah,
You feel me what I'm saying? Because I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people out there are like way too nice. Like as a performer, I know when I'm having an off night and I walk off the stage and motherfuckers
That
are be
was
like,
dope.
"Yo, man, that was the illest shit." But like, nah, man, you're just saying that.
Right.
Yo, like, tell me how to be better. You know?
Yeah.
I wish, more people were.
More people were
Or,
honest.
less
or, even,
You know?
or even just that, like, people weren't dicks about their constructive criticism. Like there's a difference between being a constructive critic and just like being like, "Yo, that sucked."
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me why it sucked. It wasn't awesome enough. Like,
Uh-huh.
define awesome. These are the things. Like, that would help.
Yeah,
You know what I
like
mean?
you know,
Break
what,
it down for
what
me
exactly
one
was
time.
it that didn't
Maybe
fit
if
with
there was
you?
more of a bridge between some, well, at least in our scene, like the older heads, you know.
Yeah, there's a large disconnect between the generations, I guess. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
generation like preceding us and then the younger generation. I mean, even us, we could like do more to,
Yeah.
you know. But at the same time, we're still like doing our thing. You
Yeah,
know?
you know what I mean?
You know what's weird about it is that like he was saying, I'm kind of into everything accidentally. I used to live in Waipahu. I lived next to a guy named Marcus. We used to call him Pastor Quest.
Quest, yeah, he makes beats, right?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that guy is so awesome, and like he was just my neighbor, and I just was like, one night I used to drink, and I was like, yeah. He's like, "Hey man, you want to come drink a beer?"
Uh-huh.
On it. Go in the house. I meet all these random people who I'm thinking in my head like, these guys are nuts, because they're just like sitting there like. like just writing stuff down,
Yeah.
and he has like this whole setup, like a studio in the living room,
Yeah.
and they'll be like rapping into these microphones. I don't hear the beats. I just and then they screw up 1,000 times. I'm like, man, these guys.
Yeah.
Like over time, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, hey man, listen to this. What do you think about it?" And dude, if you're my friend, I'm gonna tell you the truth. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was so lucky that it was good.
Yo, man, no, Quest is like mad nice with the beats, yo.
I was like, I mean, dude, and I just watched this guy get better and better and better, and he would tell me about people. Hey, yeah, back in the day, man, I used to hang out with EK, man. Everybody knows that he's like old school. We were friends, blah blah blah, and he's this. And I started watching Grind Time, and I started watching his battles, even the ones where he got obliterated. Dude, that guy's just like heroin poetic. I don't know. He was going way over their heads with some of this stuff, and he was probably a little too faded most of the time. Too. But
It's
when-
so ridiculous.
when he started coming around, that was when I think that was the first time I realized that like hip hop and music in general is an art, because I got to see the collaborative efforts of EK, who's like this lyricist guy. I mean, on like a freaking stony.
Yeah.
He's on some
Tangent.
other frequency.
Yeah, he's and then you got Quest, who does things differently when it comes to beats, man. He just finds weird things and gets obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And he won't stop until he makes it good. It could be shitty 45 times in a row, and then he's going to keep doing it until you get to 46, you know. So that was kind of inspiring. You know what I mean? And when I look back on that, are they blowing everything up right now? No, but I just came and sat down at a complete stranger's house, and you're like, yeah, I know that guy. So obviously, it was the right people to be inspired by.
Yeah.
So I draw those lines in between the same thing. Same as MMA. Like, fighters, people don't realize how much of an art form it is, because anybody can learn how to punch and kick and take a punch and take a kick. But when you get in there, man, you really got to see a canvas and you got to start painting. Because if you're not creative, if you're just doing stick figures and sunshines, you can get knocked the hell out.
Oh yeah, that's something that listening to Joe Rogan taught me. Like, I still don't really watch MMA very often, if ever, but like listening to Joe Rogan, who's a martial artist, then became a stand-up comedian, then became this inspired, want to learn everything kind of guy. Like, he waxes poetic about MMA and the art form that is like conditioning your body and get everything in. And I wanted to actually get into that. I'm glad you brought it up, was because that's one of the bigger things that you were working on before you really started getting into comics, was kind of helping the local MMA scene build up.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about some stories from there and whatnot?
First off, my girlfriend just texted me. My girlfriend is watching this right now.
Oh, yeah.
The mother of my children is watching this podcast, and I
Well,
just
we
want to
said
let you know
hello.
how big of a leap that is. Hi, babe. Love you. She's super awesome. But the thing with MMA, like the way I got into that, I just love the sport. It's a really pure sport at the time when I got into it. Obviously now it is not so pure, but it was a pure sport when I got into it. I was kind of like a working dude, and I felt like these were working dudes who were doing great things. So I aligned myself with it. And then I was living in a town called Belton, South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Which absolutely nobody knows what that is. There's actually a T and an O in there, but we just go Belton. Right? So
You were just there over Christmas, right?
yeah, I was there for like 2 months. It was awful. But
So, which is funny to hear you say that, because for like 3 months before he left, you're just like, man, I can't wait to go home. I can't wait to go home. First thing I hear out of his mouth when he gets back, man, it sucked.
It did. It sucked. It sucked so bad because I'm fat and people like don't recognize me. And so the first month I was like, hell yes, nobody recognizes me. Cool. And then by the second month I was like, man, my feelings were hurt a little bit. I was like, dude, we fucking like grew up together our whole lives. And I pull the fat back, and they're like, "Oh, Eddie, hey, aren't you living in Hawaii?" Yeah, that's what's up. But when I moved to Hawaii, which was out of nowhere, it was just the furthest place that I could be. I just quit my job overnight. I was
wow.
I was making good money. I just bought a house. I just bought 2 cars. I was like, I don't like this anymore. And I just, keys on the counter. I quit. Forced myself to make a decision. What do I want to do? At the time, I really loved MMA, and at the time, I knew I wasn't a good writer because I went to a South Carolina high school and graduated a year early.
Oh, wow.
Not because I'm super smart. They just want to get the hell rid of me. So it's like, I realized I suck at writing, so I was thinking, I can talk about fights. I really can. I'm not one of those guys that thinks I know everything. I want to know stuff. If you want to know something about something, you gain insights when you talk to people about it. And so I just connected with MMAHawaii.com over here in Hawaii because they're the best. I mean, I looked at everybody that was around at the time, and MMA Hawaii was putting out positive news about people that mattered, which means anybody can jump on Anderson Silva's bandwagon right now and write a book about the guy.
Right.
But what about Max Holloway 5 years ago when nobody knew who he was? Or what about Max Holloway when I went to one of his first fights and dude, the kid was literally the first fight up. There was like 5 people in the chairs, and now this kid's like the hope of Hawaii in MMA. That's what I wanted to do. I figured it would help me develop storytelling skills. I always heard that guys that are successful in the media are people that know how to tell a story. They're good fiction writers. So that's what I did. I started just getting to know everybody and all the stories, and I get to know them and their kids and their mom and their girlfriends and, I mean, their jobs, their whole life story. Every stumble, I get to see every fight. I get to see them get better, and, you know, that really kickstarted it for me. MMA literally got me even deeper into comics. And
your first comic was an MMA comic.
Absolutely. I even started my own studio called MMA Comics. Yeah, and did that. I'm still working on an MMA comic right now that I've been done writing for about a year. And
Long process.
And I did the discount artist thing, but the guy that I'm working with is not a discount artist. He just is a nice guy and discounted his prices for me. But he's a coach of UFC fighters.
Oh, wow.
And he runs his own gym, and he's an art teacher in a high school in Guam. I mean, it's like, I mean, so then the guy squeezes in drawing this 28-page book for me, you know. So yeah, it's taken about a year or two, but you know, we're still pumping it out. And that's based on a local MMA team because they just inspired me. It was like, damn, you know, their gym burned down while I was writing the book. I had to extend the book because their gym burns down.
Yeah.
And then the one of the ladies from the gym, one of the girls from the gym, she goes and has like her biggest fight a week later. Her biggest fight of her career a week later.
Wow.
You know, and it's nuts to see. A lot of them had fights that week, actually. And they did really good. So, you know, I extended the book. I do that. And it's crazy how it all worked out. Like the MMA thing tied me in. And the same with the music thing and MMA in general. And even when I had a regular job and I was like a manager, there's so many freaking things that line up and everything, and everybody's just too busy saying, no, I'm different, to realize, you know, if you can figure it out in one thing, you can figure it out in anything.
And so, like, when you were getting into the MMA, you said you hooked up with MMAHawaii.com, and you were doing, like, interviews and stuff like that?
Yeah, I started out just, like, literally going to events and just checking it out, and then, like, writing stuff down when I came home. The first event I went to was a kickboxing match called Man Up Stand Up. It was at the Waipahu Philcom, and I lived like down the road. I like walked there, and I had no idea what to expect. I've been living here like 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And I walk in the door with like all the bangers from the West Side. Like I'm talking about legacy families of just straight up ass kicking, and I just walk in like, hey, yeah, what's up? Let's come talk to me. I work for MMA Hawaii. Just thinking that's cool. So the first year of my life sucked here, because man, people were like,
who the fuck is this howling?
Oh man, it was. What's weird about it though is that was all in my head. They were actually very receptive. It's just that, you know, you can't walk in and start swinging a big hammer around if you're not actually holding the hammer.
Yeah.
They made me earn it, and that was that was another thing. It was
Got to pay your dues.
In order to get in tight to get some of these stories, you know. I just had to go and just get to know them as people and stop thinking of myself as some type of special guy who's going to get them exposure. Just be the guy that's going to go listen to a really good story and tell other people about it.
Nice.
So that's what it turned into. And MMAHawaii.com is like the greatest thing ever. Like that's where I literally learned everything about life. Because
my blind dog is bugging him right now.
No, it's all good. No, but the thing about it is, it's like when I walked in the door, I just wanted to know everything, and I don't think they were ready for that.
Yeah,
like, the guy that owned it just thought I was going to be another dude that just wanted to be cool.
Just wanted to go to fights for free.
Yeah, I walked in and I was just like, oh, what's that, a camera? Yeah, I want to take pictures too. Oh yeah, what's that? With the layouts? Yeah, man, I really want to learn how to do that. Like, oh yeah, what's this? That? Oh yeah, okay, cool. So, and I worked my way up to managing editor.
So were you doing web design before that?
No, I learned web design while I was doing that.
Wow, I didn't know that part.
Everything I learned through MMA Hawaii. And, you know, because I literally just got to be the guy that chose what he did that day. Nobody ever sent me an email and said, hey, to follow this story. We weren't like in 1930s New York City or anything. Like, hey, you. Pocket of firecrackers. Head down to 5th Street. Skedaddle. Like, it wasn't like that.
And the thing, too, is you got in kind of on the ground floor, too, like right around the time when MMA in Hawaii was just starting to become a bigger thing.
Well, it was the popularity resurgence, but not at all the heyday. The heyday of MMA in Hawaii was like so long ago when Super Brawl was here and Icon.
Yeah.
Dear God, every legend fought here. Anderson Silva and Yushin Okami fought here. I mean, Vitor Belfort, Frank Trick. Everybody in the world that's awesome
was over here.
There was one night where there was a Grand Prix tournament that had Carlos Condit, Jake Shields.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, everybody was in this tournament, man, and they were nobody then. And now they're somebody special. So, you know.
That's so crazy. What do you think it is about like Hawaii that made it like a hub like that for fighters?
You know what's weird about it is it's everybody says stuff about like the warrior spirit and
Like
all this
the warrior
kind of stuff.
culture, yeah.
But I think that it's true. They don't realize why it's true. Like, so a lot of people that are born here just accept that, hey, yeah, we're different, and we're warriors, we're descended from warriors. But I think what it really truly is you're literally on a dot in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
And everything that is here, you have to fight to keep it here. I mean, you really do. You have to fight to keep it here. And so you're just naturally persistent as hell. Like everybody here comes out of their mother and gets slapped in the face by the fact that you live in Hawaii and life is harder. And so it just makes people tough, man. And everybody's always on the beach too, so it's like you stay fit almost accidentally. You know what I mean? Even bigger people.
That's my problems. I'm not going to the fucking beach. That's why I'm a fucking fat ass. Okay, I figured it out now.
Go.
I got to start going to the beach.
What's sad?
Okay.
I know that formula, and still yet, brother, I'm telling you.
Yeah, you still have. Like you can't touch me, dude. I'm fucking like the blob over here. You're skinny as shit. I wish I was as
Damn.
skinny as you.
I feel like he's gonna try to make out with me. If you guys see him lunging forward,
Hey man, that's all
Sapphire still
between you
watching?
guys.
Is your girlfriend still watching?
yeah, probably not. Maybe more intently now. I'm not so sure.
Just so you know.
But yeah, so like it is cool to be here in a place where even the guy that fights at like the first fight of the regional card of just kickboxing, they bring it.
Yeah.
They feel like they are under the main lights, like in Vegas. Every single person brings it, and then God forbid you bring in somebody from an outer island. Holy crap, man! Those guys think we got it good.
Yeah.
And so like they come over here and they throw down too. So it's been
Because
a really
almost
good
nobody
place.
talks about like Maui or Kauai or the Big Island.
Oh yeah. Well, and when anybody says anything about the Big Island, they say, "Oh, BJ Penn." But dude, there are so many people doing things on the Big Island that have nothing to do with BJ Penn, or they're influenced by him, but they're working their asses off on their own. They're not riding any coattails. So, like that many stories, and I've seen some epic fights. I've seen some epic freaking fights.
Yeah. What are some of like your favorite events that you gotten a chance to see?
Every single one of them.
There you go.
Literally every single one of them. One of my favorite events is called Man Up, Stand Up, and Star Elite Cage Fighting, and it's like literally where you start. Like before you step into a cage as an MMA fighter, you might want to see if you want to get punched first.
Yeah.
So they do like kickboxing events, and then they do this thing called triple threats, where it's like the first round is kickboxing, the second round is boxing, but you can take them down. And you score points and stuff. And the third round's straight grappling. And a lot of people are like, oh, bad. But you can really literally see people get better. And I'm just like, shit, these people are nuts. Especially some of them are like 16. But I love that one. And then I love going to the Blaisdell and checking out a good Destiny MMA show. I mean, they got the lights, they got the cage right in the center. I mean, it's the arena, And I get to like stand in the center of everyone and like take pictures over the cage and I just pray to God I don't fall off my stool. I can feel thousands of eyes on me like, oh God, when's this fat guy gonna fall off? It's gonna be funny.
I've never been to a live MMA fight.
You live in the place where you should.
Yeah.
I mean, tickets are like $30.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Nah, like as big a fan as I am, I've never been.
Yo, we should like make like an Aloha
need to
Broha
make this
field trip to
happen.
go check this out because I'm trying to see.
We do a live
I might
get
podcast.
knocked the
while we're
fuck
watching.
out. Nah,
we do our own commentation.
Yeah.
Just us sitting in the stands, like trying to look in between people's heads, like, oh
Trying to make like we know what's going on.
I will say that my favorite fights to watch are Hawaii people against mainland people.
Oh yeah.
Because I
bet
get
they get
to
underestimated?
Hell yeah.
I get to cheer. That's why. Because
How
like,
often do they get underestimated? You think?
every damn time the Hawaii Fair, and everybody's like, oh, just a bunch of bangers. Oh, they just want to stand and trade. They don't have any skill. Yeah, okay, all right. I think the world is finding out now that we are pretty damn serious. But I will say this, after doing it for so many years, and this is kind of why I'm transitioning more full-time into comics, I can honestly say that every fighter, I know their story, I know their families, I know everything. They're all my friends. I like all of them. So to watch my friends just beat the piss out of each other, and
It's kinda hard.
As well, especially when you see I see their dreams. I want both of them to succeed. I want them to walk in there and just like knock each other out, but like float, and, like never touch the ground. Just fight forever. That's all I want to see. But so I kind of had to start distancing myself a little bit to focus on comics because everybody here is pretty awesome. Everybody that steps in the cage in Hawaii is definitely an awesome person. So I don't like to watch them get beat up.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. You make these attachments, and then you don't want to see them get hurt. Whether that's physically or like in their career or anything like that. Because like,
they can do everything right and just have a bad night.
Oh yeah,
and then you get to see like this person that you know their whole family's watching. You can imagine how they're feeling, and they're literally thinking like, man, I messed up. God, I should have done this, and then they're just beating themselves up, and you're like, dude, you did everything right.
And the thing too is, and one of the things that I think is crazy about MMA is like you can be watching, and like in a matter of like a second, you can watch a dude's career end because like his leg snaps, or his arm snaps, and you're like, oh God, he's not going to do this ever, or she's not going to do this ever again, because this is going to be forever for them to recover if they ever recover, kind of thing.
Yeah, like it. Luckily, I haven't seen any of that, like personally. In just with a lot of this stuff, like career-ending, life-ending stuff, life in the sport-ending stuff. Right. I've seen people decide to walk away, and I think that bums me out. I think about books that I could write in the future, and one of them would be like the legends that never were. Just some of the guys that I saw fight like twice. But in those 2 times watching them fight, I was like, dear God. I mean, they go in there, and they're like the little spinning little robots, man. They're so artistic in how they read the ring, and you see them in there walking around beforehand. You see them like walking around and shadow boxing and like stomping the cage and all this kind of stuff. They're not just being idiots. Yeah. That's for a purpose. They want to know where every groove is. They want to know where every slick spot is. Every possible advantage.
All the angles and whatnot.
So they can avoid it.
You are looking at the guy that's coming at you like a bat out of hell. You can take a step back, and instead of stepping into that dip, you just sidestep a little bit, and all at the same time, they're also punching this other guy in the face.
And they got to worry about like how to defend against maneuvers, how to try and pull off a maneuver that they're trying to work.
Yeah, they have like the cliche. It's human chess. It's cliche because it's freaking true.
They would talk about Anderson Silva, like how a lot of times in the first round he'd be a little bit more tentative, just because he's like calculating the distance, how his opponent strikes, and doing all this thinking, figuring things out, and then goes on the attack like later on in the round. Then you see him just like spring out on you out of nowhere, get a knockout or a submission or something like that, because he was, doing math basically.
Yeah.
Thinking 5, 10, 20 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of
Making a grocery list. That's what I call it. I call it making a grocery list. They go in there, and what's weird about it is that people are like, oh, yeah, well, he's just feeling them out. Okay. Sitting on your chair, you say those words, they're just feeling them out. He's still getting punched and kicked.
Yeah.
And and people are like, oh, but he blocked it. He blocked it. Let me punch you in the forearm, dude. Like, seriously, just come up here and put your hands like this. I'm going to kick you in the face as hard as I can. See if your arms hurt. You know what I mean? So that first
See if
round
you can plan around this.
Feeling them out, even feeling someone out takes extraordinary skill. And you're just in awe. When I've been close enough to like I've seen people's arms get broken. Not like career-ending style, but I've seen arms get broken.
Fractures and whatnot.
And I'm standing like right there, and it's like this little sonic boom, just and you're like, damn, that dude's arm just got broken. And he blocked the kick. And people are like, well, at least he blocked it. Everything sucks in a fight.
Yeah.
Except the end. That's the part. But that kind of stuff. Anderson Silva too. That's a big thing now. I mean, as far as the national coverage goes of MMA, like I've been lucky enough to be able to like rub elbows with some of the people. I went and stayed at the Tap Out Ranch with Cowboy Cerrone and Leonard Garcia. During their I basically lived there for a while with like 14 other people.
Holy cow!
And everybody's like going to Greg Jackson's and training every day, and then. As a matter of fact, Cowboy had a cage delivered to his house, and I went and helped him put it together one night.
That's crazy. Cowboy's one of my favorite fighters, man.
Dude, he's one of my favorite dudes ever. Yeah. One night we were sitting at the house, and he came in and kind of told everybody, hey, man, we trained this morning and everything, but we just got the cage. Let's go on down and train. Come on, right now. 6 o'clock, be down there hitting pads, asshole. Everybody's like, Cowboy's like such a brash individual. Like, he's so raw. He's just blunt. So he would tell everybody. Then I would go down there, and he would be in there hitting pads. Nobody else would show up. And he would say things like, I would go in there and say, oh, man, you're the only one here. Is that not defeating? And he'd be like, look, man, there's people that want it, and there's people that don't want it. I freaking want it. So
because that guy, he's down to take a fight like every month. Like he's trying to fight at every event. Like like he's a beast. I like that about him.
he fought with 13 days notice.
Yeah.
Good God.
and
Holy
won.
shit.
And won. And won.
That is
Not only that,
ridiculous.
fought the guy who basically took away his chances of winning a title in the WEC.
Yeah.
Their first fight, Benson Henderson and Donald's fight, or Cowboy's fight, their first fight, I think Cowboy won.
Yeah.
It was a war. One of the best fights I've ever seen. And, Ben got the decision. And then in the second fight, Cowboy was just anxious to just rip this guy's head off, and he got caught in a submission, and that sucked. But the third fight was, he just takes it on some short notice and just goes in there. And once again,
I want this.
Once again, it was like a 5-round battle. But, at the end of the day, or I think maybe 3 rounds? No, it was 3 rounds. At the end of the day, he went in there and he was smarter this time. He learned, and he won the fight. Benson Henderson was screaming about it, but at the end of the day, it's his own fault. You should finish. If you want to win in the judges' eyes, finish the fight. So Cowboy
Didn't he
won.
fight at like the next event right after that too?
No, he fought at the one before that, and then, that one.
Yeah, that one.
And then it was like, holy crap, man, this guy's nuts.
Yeah.
So, but that's what he does. He wants it, man. He just wants it. So, you get to see those types of personalities. It brings me back to the music thing. You be around EK or Quest or even Osna before he became what he is now. Watching him and EK battle 2 guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were there, man, at
Yeah.
Tropics.
Hey, I was there taking pictures like right in the front. That was nice.
The spot, rest in peace.
But
Tropics.
you see these people with these outstanding personalities, and I think I've spent enough time telling their stories. I think I want to be one of those people now. So it's turned into one of those things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Brings it all back to comics for me.
So then, speaking of keeping it on the MMA subject here for a little bit, like, do you see anyone locally, like particularly like female MMA is becoming a bigger and bigger topic? And you mentioned that right after that gym burnt down, there was a female that had a fight like right after. Like, do you see any up and coming female names here that
Everywhere.
might have a good chance?
Everywhere,
Any
all
that
of
you
them.
want to like mention or?
Well, I'll put it this way: every female fighter that is committed to it in Hawaii has found success. Rachel Ostovich is with Invicta now. Invicta is the all-female fight promotion, and they stream on UFC. What is it called?
Fight Pass. Right?
Fight Pass.
Yeah.
There you go. See, I'm the guy, and I don't even. Good job. Fight Pass. Yeah. So they stream on Fight Pass. It's a pretty big deal, and plus you get to open it up to fighting some of the best girls around the world.
Yeah.
And Rachel's fought there. Not only did she win, she wore a Wonder Woman costume the entire fight and destroyed the girl. I mean, she was doing like crazy scissor takedowns into submission attempts. It was nuts. I mean, she got to go in there, and she works out in a gym that's basically run by her dad. And it was burned down. They're working out of a place. It's like an industrial park now. It's like a paint place where they store paint, and they just have some mats on the floor and cages across the wall. And they've turned that into a gym, and she's finding success. Raquel Pa'alui.
Yeah.
Raquel Pa'alui fought in Invicta one time and lost, and she fought Amanda Nunes, who is finding success in the UFC now. And she almost submitted her, man. It was nuts, but I don't know what it was. Just that butterfly flapped its wings in Japan, and she fell off her back, and it didn't really work out for her. But she's gaining up now. She went and
She's
competed.
still going, yeah.
Dude, she felt like her ground game was off a little bit, so she goes and competes in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, and in her first try, gets a medal.
Damn.
Nice.
Not only that, she almost beat the girl that got gold. I mean, it was like, oh my God. And so when you think about it, dude, it's like boom. And I feel like that's that Hawaii mentality. And then you stack on top of that the female mentality of, I'm not here to prove that I can do what the guys can do. I'm just here to prove that I'm a good fighter. And so, that's the mentality they're taking. Kylan Curran fought in the UFC, lost to Paige Van Zant, but dear God, got a $50,000 bonus for fight of the night, first time out, for being a flipping banger. I mean, she was like double leg takedown, ba-boom. I mean, she was breaking orbitals with like ground and pound, man. And then even when she got knocked out, she wasn't out. She was still slugging away. She wanted to go in there, but they had to stop it. But she's awesome, and I say in like 2 years she's going to be huge. There's an upcoming lady named Monica Franco, and she's like a supremely nobody wants to screw with her boxing, right? I mean, girls have tried, and girls here have found some success with it. But I'll just say that when she's on, you're out. That's all. Nothing. She could take all of us at one time. I think
Well,
given a little bit more
I
time.
ain't gonna fight.
Paulie's like, fuck no, Shane. Shane, get near me. I'm running.
I ain't getting beat up by no girl on camera.
Fucking Cozy, give me your keys and get in the car right now.
But there's all kind of girls like Brianna Fasori. She's a transplant here. She like has a law degree, like works at a vet office, works with MMA Hawaii now. I mean, she's like doing all this stuff, and also, oh, by the way, I teach self-defense classes and take jiu-jitsu and compete on a high level. She's going to the mainland and smashing chicks. I mean, like everybody here has a very promising future, so it's really hard to narrow it down. I mean, there's a dude from Makaha named Joey Balai, and I'll never forget like seeing Joey for the first time, seeing him fight. I mean, I'm not gonna say I was cracking jokes on the guy because I wasn't, but what I was saying was like, damn, this kid's raw. Like he's just coming in here throwing damn haymakers. Like he wants to knock a fool out.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody just used to just joke on that guy all the time. Not like, oh, he sucks, but they would be like, oh, it's Joey. Here he goes again. He would fight like 2 nights in a row if they would let him. And I always liked him. He was a really nice guy. And then one day he just woke up and was like, I'm taking this shit serious. And I've just seen him get better and better and better. He won a belt. Nobody thought the dude was going to win a belt. He won a belt. You know, he kept fighting. It's like anytime you find space in the card where it's like, okay, this might be a wrestling match and this might be like a jiu-jitsu battle. Right in between those two, we're going to throw Joey Balai. And we're just going to blow the place up with fireworks because he'll do whatever it takes. I mean, I've seen him like literally throw punches when he was out on his feet and knock people out. So it's like,
Wow.
Yeah, or at least knock him down. He goes for it, man. So there's 1,000 people that I think that, you know, that literally 1,000 fighters.
Yeah, more than you ever have time to name.
Yeah, and you know they're gonna get in there, and over the next 10 years, we're gonna see more BJ Penns than we had before. You know, it's gonna be just like that, if not even bigger.
All right.
Sounds so exciting, man. I can't believe I've been missing out on this. Like, just hearing you talk about like all these fighters and stuff like going on. I can't believe I've been like missing out on this stuff that's like going on like right on the rock, yo.
Ah, man.
Sleeping.
I guess I got one more thing to ask you about. You mentioned the heyday and Super Brawl and stuff like that, and that's kind of what actually got me to start watching MMA. I had heard about UFC and stuff, but I wasn't really paying attention. And then I don't know, they used to show Super Brawl on like Channel 5.
Yep.
At like midnight or something like that.
K5.
Yeah, man, I started watching it. Egan and Noy and
Oh yeah, Egan and Ensign.
yeah,
Ensign beat Randy Couture.
Yeah.
Like when Randy was balling, man.
Yeah.
Ensign beat him with good technical work. I mean, the Inoue brothers are amazing. And then that's just like scratching the surface, man.
Yeah.
We had so many good people here. Nico Vitali.
Oh yeah.
Ron Jun is one of my favorite fighters, and I mean, dude, there's so many people from Super Brawl. I actually picked up a VHS tape of Super Brawl in my small town convenience store because they used to double as a video store, and I just picked up Super Brawl on VHS, bought it, and was like, damn, that's where I want to be. And the first time I went to an event at the Blaisdell, there were not 8,000 people there. I was like, this is not what I was banking on. But, yeah, Super Brawl built it. You know, Dana used to come here for Super Brawl and basically scout the talent. And I think he built – this is my personal opinion. Don't take it as a fact. But I know, shitty reporter. But I believe that Dana literally built a lot of his stable from Super Brawl.
Oh, yeah?
Absolutely. Absolutely believe it. Dude, you can't deny there were so many great talents coming through here, and nobody knew what the hell the sport was. Not to mention, nobody gave a crap who Anderson Silva was, you know. But I got to work with Pro Elite when they came. Like, I literally got to sit in there and, like, do paperwork with fighters. And Andrei Arlovsky walks in and sits down.
Holy shit.
It's the former heavyweight champion of the world,
UFC
you know?
champ, yeah.
He comes in and sits down, and he's like, okay, what paperwork I need to sign? This is my manager. He will translate for me. And I was like, oh, my God, this is awesome. Sign here and here's your per diem. I mean, that was, like, the coolest. He's like, thank you very much for money. Small Hawaiian boy. And I'm like, I love this guy. I love this guy. And, you know, it got to be really cool. Some of the people that fought here on Pro Elite are actually in the UFC now. And so it's really weird. Like, I got to take pictures and be a part of their event and kind of hang out with them in the hotel lobby. And you know what's crazy? They got the same damn stories that we got over here. I mean, you know, they were working a blue-collar job. They were trying really hard, and one day they're just like, screw it. I got my tooth knocked out last night at practice. I may as well commit to this. I don't have enough money to get an implant, so I may as well look like a fighter and act like if I'll be one.
Like in hockey, where every other fucking player has at least 3 teeth
Once
missing.
3 of your teeth are missing, you have to be an MMA fighter or a hockey player.
Yeah.
That's actually on the books. That's global law.
Yeah.
You can check it.
You might be able to slide pro wrestler in there too. You know.
The wisdom teeth count.
No, you have to
Like
get
one
knocked
tooth
out.
away
You can get
from
your wisdom
having to be
teeth
a-
knocked out. I
Yeah, it's
believe
like-
that you should be in like the Guinness Book of
Be the
World Records. You were the champion of life. You got hit by 12 trains. Oh my God, you're walking. But yeah, dude, it's amazing. Like, did you ever what was your favorite Super Brawl? Like, do you remember any particular fight? Because for me, it's a haze of awesomeness.
No, I think when Nico Vitale knocked out Masanori Suda.
Oh man, dude, that stuff. If you go on like Facebook and look up like Samoan fighters, I'm telling you, they got videos of like Deutsch Poo and Nico Vitale just knocking people's blocks off. Man, that will get you. When Nico wins, the world it just goes.
Yeah, like everybody went nuts. Like because I think he caught him with a Superman punch, and then like Suda fell and like landed in the ropes and was out, and like. It was like the entire stadium jumped up. People ran into the ring.
Oh my God, he was like lifted, and Nico is not a small man.
Yeah,
he is ginormous. I mean, it's ridiculous how big he is. The first time I ever met Nico, I was so nervous.
Yeah,
because he's just like and at that time he was building up a gym in Waipahu, which is where I lived. And a lot of the people that went to that gym were people that a lot of people viewed as like. They have the potential to be troublemakers. Mm-hmm. But they were all really good guys. If you're training with Nico, you have to be a good guy. He's not going to allow any bull crap in there. So, like, understanding that, I was like, I'm going to go talk to this guy, And I went and talked to him, and I was like, yeah, I live in Waipahu. And he kind of seemed shocked that I lived in Waipahu. And he was like, oh, yeah? Where? And then that was where I was like, I'm talking to Nico.
Yeah.
Don't bring up the Matt Lindland fight. Don't bring up the Matt Lindland fight. Yeah,
Matt the Law Lindland.
And I did. I brought it up because I was an idiot, and he just looked at me like, "Really? You don't think I'm tired of talking about the Matt Lindland fight?" But he was super nice and was just like, "All right, I see." Over time, I've gotten to know him personally, and he's like bought me lunch once or twice, and talked to the guy about things like politics and religion and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And it makes those wins even better. Now I know why everybody was lifting him up. Now I know why the Blaisdell had to like re-cement their framework after he won a fight. Yeah. Because he's like such a legitimate dude. Not fighter, dude. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's so many of those here. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I don't know, that Suda fight, like I was pulling for him because for Nico in that one. Because Suda was the champ at the time, and he had beat Egan for the belt, and he was a fighter from Japan, didn't speak English and stuff, and just everybody was just like, man, this dude from somewhere else came and has our belt, beat our dude, and then here comes Nico just knocking people out, rises up to get the title shot, and he's like our local dude, and like our local dude who gonna knock somebody out, and then he knocked him out, and everybody was just like, oh my God, like, so yeah, that fight was crazy.
Yeah, watching a Nico fight is definitely one of the things that was, it was like secretly on my bucket list. Yeah. Like even I didn't know that it was until I met the guy, and then I was just like, damn, I've got to watch this happen in real life. I mean, it's just like legendary here. So when I've got to see Nico fight like twice. Yeah. And I got to see him knock somebody just to slap the hell out. And then even afterwards, he just... he's such a nice dude, but he's so intense, and you don't expect that. He knocks the dude out, and he turns and like looks at me, and like every muscle in his body is just tense. And I was like, "Dear God!" And he's like, "I'm sorry." Like, I'm so sorry. Die. Oh my God! And then that experience, it just appeared like the invisible ink just showed up on my bucket list and said, "Check, you did it." That was amazing. So it's been really cool. I got to get doused in blood by one of my heroes. That was pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, man. Ron the Machine Gun John.
Doused in blood?
Dude, he went in for this fight with this mainland kid, and the mainland kid's basically, before the fight, saying, oh, man, he's over the hill. He hasn't fought in like 2 years, blah, 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 blah. That dude don't know Uncle Ron. That's all I got.
Machine
Uncle Ron's
gun.
like, he's like at my kid's birthday party, hanging out, brings all 20 of his family. I mean, like, they are awesome people. He's a regular dude. But then when he gets in there, man, I don't care if he's been out of the cage for 40 years. Don't you ever think.
Oh, that dude was a beast.
Yeah, dude, machine guns from the 60s will still kill you. So Ron the machine gun from Hawaii will still smash your face. So
Yes.
the guy comes in there, and I think Ron just wanted to, like, maybe prove something to the guy. So he goes in and just clocks him hard. The dude's on stilts, like, about to fall down. And he comes back and hits Ron hard, and Ron loves it. He's like, yeah, this is a fight, So he takes a couple more shots, he gets cut open, and they get over close to me, and like they're just slugging it out. And I don't know whose blood it was. I don't know if it was the other guys or if it was Ron's. I don't care. That was the
Splatter.
first. I was like looking through the camera lens, and everything just kind of washes. And I was like, I look at my arm. There's like blood trailing up my arm. I was like,
It's a good thing I didn't have my mouth open.
I see everybody. Oh, the camera blocked them out. I learned that. New mistake in MMA photography. Rule 1: close your freaking mouth. But no, like I look around. I see everybody around me like, oh, and I look down and like I was like, oh, this is awful. Yes. Like this was cool, And so yeah, it's been like a weird ride to see some of the stuff. I got to see Kendall Grove fight in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people didn't get to see that. I
He
got to
was
see it
coming up.
twice. Joe Riggs and Manoa Man.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so I got to see some awesome times for Hawaii
it was-
MMA.
Yeah.
And you're not done yet. I mean, like you may be
Oh,
slowing
yeah.
down on MMA, but like you're still going places.
Mm-hmm.
Let's we're getting close to our hour and a half, yeah.
Yeah, about. Well, we can keep going if you
Keep
want.
going,
We got,
yeah.
like,
Fuck, let's keep talking. I was gonna say like I didn't want to like cut off before we can get in like plugs and whatnot. But if we want to keep going, let's just keep
we
going.
got like 6 minutes until hour and a half.
Well,
It's
fuck
up to you guys.
Yeah, we want to keep going.
Yes, I have things I need to say.
All right, let's go.
What you got? What you got?
What's our next piece here?
No, man, just kind of back to the comic thing. I know it's kind of weird to trail back to that after everything, but when you think about it, and I think this is what I want people to understand. You got to have something that inspires you if you really want to inspire other people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that's what you do. If you want to write a book, if you want to make music, if you want to paint, if you want to, sculpt, if you want to do anything, if you want to bind books, make swords, if you want to do anything like
Yes.
that, you have to want to inspire someone to pick it up. You have to want to inspire someone to keep going, and you have to want to inspire somebody to do the same thing. So for me, MMA was that ignition. It really told me, like, dude, you're telling stories now. So what? So what? One of the things that I realized was that a lot of things when it comes to writing characters, people think you have to like invent people and things and personalities and all this kind of stuff. You actually don't. You don't have to. My thing that I do is I think of people that I already know, and I don't use them as characters particularly, but I take their personality and I put it into a set of circumstances that they would never cross here. So like let's just say like an MMA fighter from Hawaii
Versus the Predator.
that I know. Like let's take his personality, the way he handles day to day, and let's put him in space and have him defend like an entire race of people with his newly found
Space powers.
Space powers, right?
Yes.
When you get into those situations, you find yourself like thinking about it and going, all right, so if this happened right now, what would this guy say? He'd be like, no, fuck. And so instead of like letting that pass, whoop, you write it down. You know what I mean? Or like, and it just goes. It gets bigger and bigger, and that's basically what I've done because people have inspired me. So like I kind of hope that it goes in that direction. But crossing everybody that's kind of helped. I want to hit that before we go off. It's like Kyle Strahm has helped more than anybody in the world, really. John Bivens helped me out even though he doesn't know who I am. Like, even if I emailed him right now, he'd be like, hello, nice to meet you. You don't realize that you changed my life, John. Thanks, John. But also John Rauch, or as I like to call him, John Rock. This guy agreed blindly to work on my book based on the fact that, number one, he's a super nice guy, I'm assuming, John. And second off, because he really wanted to work with the artist that I'm working with. Yeah. And the artist that I'm working with really wanted to work with him as a colorist, And so it was like, it just snapped and clicked. And John's the most blunt individual ever. And at the time, he was working on my favorite comic book, which is Invincible. He was working on it at the moment. So I was just like in my house, like, yeah, I'm working with Yes. And he works with Kirkman. Like, yeah, this is awesome. But he agreed to work with me. And then like a lot of stuff has changed since he's agreed to. He's no longer working with Invincible. He's worked on several other books and dropped off. He's now on Batman. He's doing Batman Eternal.
What?
And, he's doing
Batman
all kinds
Eternal.
of he's doing all kinds of titles, and also now he's drawing a book too. And so to kind of have him there,
Wait, he's moving away from. Is he moving away, or is he doing both?
He's gonna do both.
Wow.
He's coloring like 20,000 books, like always, and he's drawing a book now too. And what's crazy is like getting to see a veteran in the beginning status. Like he doesn't even know how much that's motivated me, because like just to hear him be like, "Oh, screw it, man, this is hard." You know what I mean? Like I'm like, wow, this dude's like a rock star. Like if colorists had groupies, this guy would have the most, because he is a rock star. He is a competitive strongman competition guy.
Oh wow!
I mean, he's like a monster. I'm pretty sure he eats babies. I don't know, but like,
Got to get them stem cells.
he stays like, you know, he works at home. He's got kids. You know, he's doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, minus I'm not doing the, you know,
minus
like,
the
I'm not
plus
strong.
the artistic talent.
Yeah, I'm not strong or talented or a rock star, but he is. So like just to see what he's doing is really awesome. And plus he's like super blunt. I'll go to him with like this stuff. I'll be like, "Oh man, I just need help because like I'm just trying to do this and I'm trying to do that. I'm just trying to get better and blah 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 blah." And he'll be like, "You ever just stop and say maybe whatever you're doing is not that bad?" Stop looking for crap. Just do it. And I asked him one time, like, what is it that I should aspire to? And he was just like, make good stuff. What else? The other day he says to me, think about making comics like jerking off, right? It's really fun. And sometimes you think of like inventive ways to do it. But as soon as somebody sits you down and says, I'm going to give you this much money every month to do this much jerking off, it loses its flavor. You know, it's not really so fun anymore. You're not as creative. And
Well,
so-
how
First, you're
much
like, "Are
money?
you kidding me?" Fuck yeah.
why do you want to pay me to beat off?
But then, like, you know, like 2 days in, your dick is raw, your balls are empty. They're starting to look like raisins.
but
Shit.
he
Well, how much jacking off do I have to do, and how much money is involved?
it's excessive, and the money is not.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, never
yeah,
mind.
so right. But you love jacking off. I mean, you love that. You love the act. You know what I mean? Everybody loves the act, just like making books. Everybody loves the act of making a book. But are you really willing to sit down and beat it till it's raw
Well,
for a very small payday? But then when he said that to me, I kind of marinated on it for a minute. And I thought to myself, if somebody were paying me to like inventively find a new way to do that, I'm all about it. I want to be the guy that changed the world.
start
I want to
doing-
be the guy that changed the world.
Start doing anal
innovator
play
of
and
jacking
whatnot.
off.
No, not that.
You're not gonna do it.
But no, seriously, what if someone came to you and said, it is up to you to find the new way to do that? Most people would be like,
I feel like
"Hell
that's
no.
a big
Hell
responsibility.
no." Yeah, sometimes you
I'm
gotta
getting paid.
sometimes you gotta nut up and do it, you know, and that's
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Pun
It's like-
intended.
absolutely.
Nut.
Absolutely, always intended. But like that's where I'm at right now with comics, and it's really ridiculous because like being so passionate about comics is kind of like being like an aquarium enthusiast. You know, you're seeing some awesome shit.
Yeah.
You really are. Like this fish only exists in one portion of the world. Holy fuck! Look at this thing. It's awesome. This is history right here, guys. And everybody in the world is like, the fuck is wrong with this kid? He's staring at stupid fish.
And on top of it, you realize that you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna make my own aquarium." Next thing you know, you've dropped like a couple grand, and you have a little tiny tank with 5 fish in. And you're like, "This
And
isn't what I
everything.
went to the
Yeah. And-
This isn't what I went to go see.
And life sucks. But basically that's what it is.
I wanted a
man.
moray eel."
You just end up with like those quarter ones that you find. But like no, like getting into it, like really getting into it. Once I dropped my first like $600 bill, like once I like paid someone $600 for something that wasn't even completed yet, like that was just the first installment. It became real, and like that's where I'm lucky to have my girlfriend, because like you don't just like drop that much money on something when you got kids and everything without consulting them and get away with it. But I
Right.
did. I continue to get away with it. I continue to get away with it. Like I just keep finding ways to spend more money on stupid comics. But like I believe one day that's going to be the reason it's going to pay off. You know, but taking everything in along the way, like what Nelson has done is amazing. What the conversations that Kyle and I have had about stuff like, you know, if you're really worried about how much money you're going to make, then maybe you need to just pack it up. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's art. You know what I mean? It's you got to do what you got to do. And also, he taught me about how to not geek out on people, which I fail at constantly. I'm the guy that when like you're on Facebook and like I think you're really cool and we converse, if I think of something, I'm going to tell you. And I don't care if you read your messages or not. I'm going to send it to you anyway. I'm that guy. And so like here's me, this nobody who's like trying to work with all these top dogs, and I just keep like, hey man, you ever saw this thing? And they're just like, shut up. Come on, man. But I think I've kind of conveyed that I'm not really geeking out. I'm not asking them for a bunch of shit. I just want them to get involved. I want them to know who I am, what I'm all about. And it's starting to slowly work. I think they're figuring it out. If they haven't yet, sorry guys. I'm an annoying person. But, persistence, man. That's what it is. So
And quality, which you have in abundance.
they do. But what's cool is Nelson told me like today. He said that, it kind of doesn't matter if you suck at what you do right now. Because if I'm doing my job right and if John's doing his job right, then you really have nothing to worry about for these 6 pages. And I think kind of what he was insinuating, though, was after these 6 pages, though, you're going to need to start pulling your weight a little bit. You know what I mean? But that's kind of how I've always felt about it. So anytime Kyle sends me a link and says, hey, man, check this out. It's worth a read, or follow this person on Twitter. They got really good tweets. I read it. I listen to it. I pay attention to it. And it's full of all kinds of beautiful knowledge that I think would turn most people away. Like breaking into comics as a writer with no artistic talent is like breaking out of prison. You know what I mean? It's damn near impossible to do. And once somebody does it, you can guarantee they're covering that tunnel. You're not going to do it the same way the other guy did it. They're not going to let that happen again. Yeah. So you kind of have to invent your own way. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And hopefully it'll work out.
You got to find the passage that Kirkman missed.
You gotta find your own style too.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now my style has been like fast and loose, and I'm ready to just kind of like tighten that up and do some different stuff. But for me, I get motivated with a lot of stuff. I have one book that I'm doing now that's just kind of based on the love I have for comic books. And like, I guess it's like my homage to the old school stories that we've all heard before. Like this person was an ordinary person, and then they found out that they were part special, but they're only part special. So they have to be human and be a hero at the same time. That's where it starts. But then where it goes from there is kind of like my graduation from that. And it moves into something more spectacular. And then the next book that I'm trying to work on is one that's literally like inspired by like the hardest time in my life that there's ever been, ever. And so when you start putting that kind of love into it, when you start putting that kind of attention into it, there's no way you can fail if you're just not a quitter. You know what I mean? You just go in and just cut it open, put it on the page, and see what works out. And that's kind of what I want to do.
Nice.
It's always going to have Hawaii in it, too. That's what's nuts. I even thought of a comic where Ben is one of the main characters.
Yo, sign me up.
The basic premise. You know Ben,
Yeah.
right? He knows a little bit about everything. Actually, he knows a lot about everything, but I literally mean everything. So, like, we accidentally stumble into, like, a time warp, and we end up in, like, feudal Japan, and we're just standing there.
Which I know a lot about.
We're just standing there, and Ben's just like, we should probably change our color clothes because we are standing in the
Tokugawa
in the
area.
zone of this particular clan, and we are going to be eviscerated. So here's what we're going to need to do. I'm going to need you to do this and you to do that, and then like all of a sudden time warp opens up, boom, and we're like in dinosaur times, and there's like a stegosaurus in front of us, and he's like, well, if we do this, the stegosaurus will completely leave us alone. Did you know? And then it just so happens that like we always get through it because Ben knows enough about stuff, but that's another premise I'm working on.
Nice. I didn't even know about that. Thanks for just springing it on me now. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
But
We need to collab on my piece of shit that I haven't touched in like 2 months.
If you didn't think it was a piece of shit, then you wouldn't be a good writer. You have to hate everything that you write. This is mine. Nobody told me this, but because of me, if you look at stuff that I write, it is just rife with spelling and grammatical errors because I refuse to go back and read it again. Because I think about it enough times in my head, and then I put it down. If I go back and read it again, I'm gonna delete all that shit.
Oh, that's one of the things that I do. Like the small script that I've been working on for a comic and a script for a movie that I've been working on. I'll get like 2-3 pages in because a long time ago someone taught me like, just keep writing until you got nothing else to write, and then go back and like do all the grammatical errors and stuff like that. And so like I would do that, and then when I'm sitting there rereading it and whatnot, I'd be like, oh, fuck, I gotta fix this and like delete this paragraph. Well, I say this later. I'm just gonna fucking delete this, and then like now I'm stuck at this
Before you
3-page
know it-
point. And
Before you know it, there's nothing.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and-
like, oh fuck, all this is gone. I want changed everything.
I'd rather just write what I think about and then have somebody be like, yeah, man, it's kind of long-winded. Maybe we should just cut that part out. So,
I need an editor.
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
But then when they tell you what to cut, it sucks too. But, thick skin, balls, things of that nature.
Yeah.
But
All right.
Balls.
you got to have balls.
Yeah, man.
You do. You got to have balls.
All right. Well, we're gonna have links to all the names and the books that that King here talked about. King, what do you got? What do you got to promote before we wrap this up?
I guess I just want to push out stuff of like people that have helped me because obviously right now I'm not in the position. We're in the pitch process. Might be a year before we see any of my books up there. But like Kyle Strahm does one right now called Spread, and it is probably one of the best comics that's out there right now. I mean, they're doing like
Go buy it.
yeah, they're doing like fourth and fifth.
In
printings
fact,
on
you
it.
know what? You guys should all go to Dragon's Lair Comics here
Yep,
in Mililani,
in Mililani.
Malka. It is it's my favorite comic book. It's one of the best comic book stores. Probably, in my opinion, the best comic book store on the island.
Yeah, it's the best one I've ever been to, and I've been to a lot.
I didn't even know it existed. I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. It's my local comic shop.
Can I get spread over there?
Yeah,
Yes, you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And anything that he can't get, he can pretty much order it and have it there within like a week, maybe 2 weeks tops. So he can. The owner's name is Luke. He's awesome.
Luke.
Luke and
Yeah,
Randy, they'll do
cool.
whatever.
Just
Shout
don't
out
be
to Luke.
just don't be a dick to Luke and Randy, and they will be your best friends, and they can get you pretty much anything you want. So please go
Nice.
check out Dragon's Lair in Mililani, Malka, in the
You got a
little shopping
website like
center.
we can reach them out or something?
Yeah, we're gonna put out the Facebook links and everything like that. So up with all the links that King Editor on Twitter has provided us. Quali, where can we find you on the social medias?
Man, I'm out there. And my handle is Quali is ill. At Quali is ill. That's on Instagram and Twitter. The Twitter.
Cozy.
And I'm at John Cozy on Instagram and Twitter. And I just wanted to say thank you to our guest.
Yeah, man. Big ups, bro.
Hey, King, yo, I love meeting people who are like passionate about what they're about because it inspires me. Like, I want to fucking go home and write now.
Yeah, man.
Yo, just listening to this guy talk, like, I was kind of like quiet during this podcast, but that's because I was just like hanging on to every word this dude was saying, just because of like the passion he exudes, he displays from the subjects that he's into, MMA, comics, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, yep.
Yeah, man.
Thank you,
I'm trying
man.
to like check out some comics now.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
trying to
not
go to
really
some
into
fights,
it.
yo.
Dude, I
I'm
got
trying to
some.
figure out some shit.
I got some upstairs. I can let you borrow.
Do you have you for Vendetta? Because I really
word.
want to read it.
No, not yet. I don't have you for for you yet. I'll get it to you.
And I'm totally about to
buddy still-
YouTube some Super Brawl fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Go
Go
to
check
Dragon's
out
Lair and
Super
pick
Brawl.
up comics on your way to see a fight.
There you
you
go.
go.
Best way to do it.
Where can we
So-
find you, Ben?
I am at TripHas808 on Twitter. You can follow me at Facebook /TripHas808. Some events that are coming up, some comedy events coming up. We got the Happy Hour Comedy Show and Open Mic presented by Mars Comedy. You can find that event on Facebook or just follow Mars Comedy Club. This going to be at Hawaiian Brian's in the studio, I do believe.
Cool.
So go check that out. Also coming up in May, we are having the famous Rory Scovel, huge stand-up comedian coming down. I think one in the next couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks or so, we're gonna have a local comedian, Shane Lucas Price, on, and he's gonna come in and talk about what it's like to throw comedy around out here, and we're gonna.
Cool, man. I'm
promote the
excited
show
to do that
about
because like I haven't like been to any like local stand up besides the one I DJ'd for Comedy of Hawaii. That's pretty much like the only thing. And that was
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. Yeah, that was like more like a little party
That's
that we
just
were
a
throwing
party,
as
yeah.
comedians. But yeah, if you are interested in tickets to Rory Scovel, you can hit me up on Facebook or on Twitter. I have tickets. Again, it's coming up in May. It's going to be at Hawaiian Brian's. Oh, my cat is here. We need to.
gonna fucking-
Cozy is allergic to cats.
severely
And my
allergic. I'm surprised I haven't blown up yet.
My cat's running around like freaking him out. So let's get this wrapped up.
Okay, I got one more announcement. Starting in March, Greenleaf Check is going to be a monthly event.
Hey, my
at-
bitch. Oh, Safe House Republic.
Yeah, Greenleaf Check is going to be a monthly event at It's a Safe House at the Republic.
Yeah.
I don't know their address. I'll pull up a link.
Yeah.
So every last Thursday of the month is going to be
Every month,
Greenleaf
bitch.
Check. You can catch me, John Cozy, and the rest of the residents. We got Quali on the mic control,
Hosting.
to the bite on the ones and twos,
Cat paws on your face.
Kawhi on my dick, bitch. He's a hater. I had to put it out there.
Yeah.
No, I'm just playing. But yeah, you can catch us along with like special guest DJs from your favorite DJs from
All
the
over the
local
place, bro.
underground scene. I think
Locally.
this March I think we might. I'm not sure. I gotta confirm, but we're gonna have Cavett the Catalyst
Yeah.
and Oliver Twist.
Oh, nice.
Boom. All vinyl,
Wow.
dog. These guys spin all vinyl. If you want to see some like roots, like hip hop DJing shit,
In your mouth.
come through the last Thursday of March.
Yes.
And yeah,
All right, man.
All
It's
right,
going
this-
that's
down.
what I got.
This was the Aloha Broha podcast. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for
was.
listening. Dude, wouldn't it be weird if Bill Murray just showed up right now?
We should have called it the Bill Murray special. He would have showed up.
Yeah, for sure. Because he just
filmed Aloha over here.
he just shows
Yeah,
up.
He did,
to
yeah,
random
that's
shit.
right.
Yeah. So next time, episode 6 is going to be the Bill Murray special, and then apparently he'll just show
He'll
up.
just
Yeah.
show up.
All right, Bill. You heard it. That's the challenge.
Come on, Bill. You heard this. Come on.